Okay, I'm Steve Costigo. I'm a field CTO in EMEA for Zadara. I want to talk to you about how Zadara and Veeam, or Kasten by Veeam, are working together on data mobility, disaster recovery, and backup solutions. So if we look at cloud trends in 2023, a lot of the features that people are looking to address are around cloud security, cloud resilience, and that means making sure that you have an infrastructure that you can recover. And also multi-cloud and distributed cloud are becoming more and more into the foray. We're seeing more around AI and ML powered clouds, and a move, as we're seeing around there, to no code. But the key initiative from our perspective is around cloud native strategies. So whether you're running just web services and a stateless environment, typically people refer to this as not needing a backup, which is a mistake. Typically, what we're seeing is people needing backups for stateful applications like databases. And really, as we move more and more into a Kubernetes or a cloud-native environment, we have to pay more attention to how we're doing those backups, how we're doing the recovery. And then more importantly, as we move forward, what do you do in day two management? So if you think about stateless applications, you may think, I don't need to back them up. But what happens if you have a supply chain attack? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to manage the data mobility of recovering those environments? I'm going to talk a little bit on how we can address some of those. So the business challenges first and foremost, and I know this may be not the highest thing from a developer's perspective, but what we're seeing in the marketplace is more and more developers are being asked to address business challenges. So most organizations are adopting or have adopted a cloud-first strategy. Now, typically that's been into a hyperscaler, maybe an AWS, maybe an Azure infrastructure, but we're seeing those cloud-first strategies change more into a hybrid model, which is on-premises and off-premises in the hyperscaler. So we're seeing a lot around modernizing that IT and applications and deploying and migrating those across multiple clouds. So you may deploy into a hyperscaler today, but you may find that application doesn't work for latency reasons. You may want to bring that back into an on-premises Kubernetes environment and maybe then deploy that in a distributed environment. Now, the other key element that people are working to around deployment of Kubernetes is this ability to deploy and delete applications on demand more rapidly, easily, with the same tooling. And really what we're about is trying to build this stateful business application stack in conjunction with partners like Veeam and Kasten. So why Zadara? Well, we've got 400 global cloud locations and deployments, and we provide quite a unique capability. So we provide a compute capability of AWS-compatible APIs, block storage, file and object storage, and with complete isolation for tenants between those. So a true multi-cloud, multi-tenant offering, which is 100% OpEx, even on premises. So this is ideal for those dynamic workloads. We were very early into the Kubernetes space in deploying and developing a CSI driver. So all of the things that I'm going to show you later on in terms of this integration with Veeam and Kasten to deploy automation using Terraform to deploy an end-to-end stack application. The other key element that we're seeing is around data sovereignty. Especially across Europe, more and more organizations are saying, I want to know where my data is, I want to be able to control where that is, and that's another key element of that integration with Kasten. So from our perspective, everything is around being able to have this dynamic composability. You can't predict tomorrow, you don't know what your applications are going to need. You don't know how you're going to need to manage those, whether you're going to migrate them from one platform to another, where you need block storage, where you need file, where you need object storage. But the key thing from our perspective is we give you the ability to choose where and when you can deploy. Our alliance with Kasten enables you to take those microservices and move them around at your will and at your ability to move them. The other key element is around sustainability. We deploy on demand where you actually need it. So there's a book out there from a New York guy about costivation, around deploying applications exactly where you need them, when you need them. And as we try and look for more sustainability in the world, having an infrastructure that can deploy where you need it, when you need it, is a real key thing moving forward. So why Kasten by Veeam? Well, cloud native data protection, built for Kubernetes, on Kubernetes, complete backup, DR, and migration capabilities. So this enables you to manage based on business function. Think more about the applications rather than just a container and deploying a container, and any cloud to any cloud protection. So whether you're running in AWS today, running in Azure, Google Cloud, running on Nutanix, VMware, if you're running a Kubernetes environment, you can protect that. And the beauty from our perspective is we can act as the target for that from a DR perspective and run that as a live recovery mechanism. We fully support the immutable APIs from our S3 capabilities. That enables Veeam Kasten to take advantage of that, so that should you be attacked by ransomware, you've got a recoverability by not having your applications deleted and not having your backups deleted also. So the other key element is around day two management. A lot of people deploy Kubernetes and forget about the day two management, the fact that you've got to go through upgrades. And this is a key element of where having a backup application that enables mobility and disaster recovery enables you in your day two management operations. So why Zadara and Kasten, and why are we better together? Well, the key elements here is we're not being prescriptive in terms of your Kubernetes variants. As long as it's supported from a Linux perspective, whether you're running EKSD, Rancher, a myriad of other Kubernetes environments, as long as it's supported by Kasten, as long as it's supported on our compute environment, then there's no reason why you can't deploy. So protecting those workloads with K10 enables you to migrate, enables you to do DR, enables you to test that DR, and I'm going to show you how we do that in a short video in a moment. So the overall architecture, just as a high level, is a deployment of a Kubernetes environment. Typically you wouldn't have a single master, that would be a multiple master environment, but for elements on this slide, we then have worker nodes. We deploy the Zadara CSI driver into it, and we're providing our VM instances, EBS boot volume. We're providing NFS and block via the CSI into the Kubernetes workers that are then going to run those workloads. Those can be running on dedicated VPSAs, and these can be scaled out so that each tenant can have their own dedicated storage. So the customer knows exactly where their data is at all times. They can also change the policies of that storage. So it could be SSD. They may want to migrate that to magnetic. They may want to migrate that to a hybrid of SSD and cached. They may want deduplication. All of these capabilities can be applied from policies. And then additionally, utilizing the K10 platform enables us to then allow the K10 platform to create a snapshot of the NFS or the block volumes, present that onto the block storage arrays, and then mount that back to the K10 operators, and then back that up over the S3 protocol into an immutable bucket. So this provides a complete end-to-end solution of providing Kubernetes and the protection and the potential migration of that data. Because once we have that here in this object storage platform, we can then recover that to any other environment globally, as long as we've got access to that S3 environment. So here's an example of what we're going to do as far as the video is concerned. So application to migrate, we back that up to the object storage. We transport that to the target environment. We mount that in the target environment and deploy the new application to the cloud. So this is a very, very simple and easy process once you understand the flow. So why build a cloud-native solution with us and with Kasten. Primarily because we're delivering on-demand scaling, enabling you to scale on-premises in an OpEx solution, enabling you full backup and DR, and avoiding big bang deployment. So as you want to transform your applications, moving on a small scale basis by doing a single application on premises, and enabling things like Canary A/B testing, where you can have multiple Kubernetes deployments and using Kasten to protect those environments. The key elements around ransomware mitigation, object lock capabilities enables you to guarantee that that data is not going to be deleted should you be subject to a ransomware attack. The ability to offer dedicated application resources from a VPC perspective and our VPSA placement perspective means that you have scalability where within a single cloud platform you can operate DevOps, you can operate production, test and dev, and DR, and keep them all separated. And the other real beauty about doing this is we're using industry standard protocols, and therefore you have standard portability inside and outside of a Zadara environment. So here we have a short video on just how we actually do that migration piece.
Multi-cloud, cloud-native mobility with Kasten, K10, and Zadara. We will migrate a containerized application using Kasten, K10, and Zadara between two Kubernetes clusters.
So once we've gone through our application deployment,
on the source,
so from the source,
configure
here we have
storage
Kubernetes source. We're going to deploy a new profile,
APIs.
And we're going to use the S3 compatible storage that we're providing. We provide an S3 access key,
once you've
S3 secret.
Your access key,
we're going to deploy to a Zadara endpoint.
Region.
We're going to define the region. We're going to define the bucket of where we're actually going to do the backup. Then, within that, we're going to initiate, enter the source, look at our application. We're going to do a source backup. So we create the policy. Here it's a WordPress application.
We're going to
we enable the backup via snapshots. We select the profile that we've just created, and we create the policy. Now we will see that this policy becomes compliant, and we will run the policy.
We're going to wait for this job to complete. This may take a few minutes, depending upon the size
typically,
of the
this could take a few minutes to a few hours, depending upon your application from a backup perspective. And then once we've done that, we go to the target, and we repeat the operation in terms of the target, in terms of settings. We create a new profile. Now this profile is going to be an import profile.
Also going to be able to
so we're going to take the source, apply the same API keys, secret, endpoint information,
the endpoint,
same region,
the region,
same bucket.
And the bucket that will be used for the import of the source data. Once we're
going to make sure that this is valid.
We can then
and then we're going to export the source. So we take the source environment and we run an export of
we're going back to our source dashboard, and you see we have a compliant backup policy. We're going to initiate an export. We're going to select the latest backup.
WordPress backup.
Within that backup, we're going to select the source profile. Then we're going to export. From the export,
copy the key provided into the target Kasten environment.
Once the export is completed,
and this will then allow us to do the migration or the recovery.
We will then use this exported data to perform an import into the target.
So again, depending upon time, we've accelerated this for the point of the video. So you see it goes through various phases. Then on the target, we need to do an import of that export. We create a new policy. We define this as an import policy.
And this we'll define here as WordPress import.
So we do a restore after import.
Restore by
we copy the key. We select the profile.
We've exported. We're going to create this new policy. And then we're going to run this policy.
We run that profile.
This policy will perform an import into our target.
So now that within this environment, we're going to go through some further steps where we are going to make sure that this environment is available.
We can see here.
So here we can see that the WordPress environment is available.
So one of the first things that we're going to need to do is create a policy on the target.
And now on the target.
So within our target environment, let's first validate.
We check the services that are running against the target environment. Here we can see that the namespace has been created for the WordPress application. We can see that the WordPress application is running.
We can see the WordPress pods running.
We then check the PVCs, and here we can see that the WordPress application is running against the Zadara CSI and therefore has persistence.
CSI driver, and therefore we have persistent storage. So performing a backup, we're going to.
So now we need to protect the new location as well. So we run a target backup, and again, running the same credentials. It's just that now we're going to select the target as the backup into its own bucket. So again, protecting and preserving the original source should we ever need it.
Save the profile, and then we're going to run a new backup.
Now we create the same policy. We create a snapshot policy, daily backup, enable snapshots.
Select the new target.
Select the target.
Create the policy.
Create the policy.
And then we're going to run
make sure everything is valid.
Validating that everything is as we expect.
And we're going to run that job.
Again, this may take a few moments to complete.
So again, this is a job that will take a little bit of time. You'll see the policy run. And again, you'll see artifacts, you'll see the amount of object storage being consumed and the size of the snapshots.
We can then check.
So once all of that is done, we have a fully protected, migrated, mobilized environment. We can ensure that everything is protected, everything is available. We have the load balancer exported and the MariaDB running behind the WordPress is available. Then we can go to our target application, look at the port, and we can see that the application has moved from source to target. And we've been able to do this all in told end-to-end in around about an hour.
Thank you for watching. We hope that this has been useful.
Any questions?
Any questions for Steve? Thank you to Steve for the very thorough demo. Any questions at all? I think I saw one here. This gentleman seems to have a question. You sure? Okay. He had that inquisitive look. Has everyone filled in their cards so we can do the drawing? Has everyone had a chance to fill in their cards? Waiting for one, okay. Yeah, we've got a couple of drawings. The first one